We're going to be doing a stretching protocol that I put together. You can pick and choose any of these exercises depending upon how much time you have. But these are some great movements to do when you first get up in the morning. Therefore, no makeup, hair is not done, not even showered yet. I like to do these as quickly as I can. Usually I'll have my cup of coffee first, feed the cats, that kind of thing. But if you enjoy this, please feel free to use any piece of it that feels good for your body. You can also do these on the bed if getting on the floor is difficult for you. So we're going to get started. I have my mat set up right behind me, and I hope that you enjoy. Thank you. My name is Eileen, and I'm with Nofi Fitness. So the first one's going to be a hamstring stretch. You can gently draw a knee into the chest. If this is too much, you can feel free to leave the other knee bent and foot on the floor. You can also use a strap around your foot, or just hold the leg to support and you're not overstressing out the joints. And you're going to gently draw the leg in. Try to reach your heel up through the ceiling, toes towards your shin. If you have the flexibility to grab your big toe, you can also get a deeper stretch by really trying to straighten that leg as much as possible. Take your hands back behind the thigh, bend and straighten your knee. You can grab hold of your ankle or take the big toe and take the leg out to the same side that you're working. So I am on my right, I'm taking my leg out to the right. You're going to hold here anywhere from 30 to 60 seconds. You're going to take that leg back up, rebend the knee, 90-degree bend here. Push it gently towards your midline, and then grab your heel with your opposite hand and draw that towards your trunk. So you should feel that stretch along the back side and of that hip and into the hamstrings. Take that heel across the opposite thigh. Notice I lifted that leg up off the floor. This is called the figure 4 stretch. Good stretch for the hip on the side that we're working. Gently draw your left leg towards you as you gently push your right knee away. Or you can take your hands behind the left thigh and gently draw it in towards your trunk. You'll feel that stretch into the right hip. I am working the right side here. And you're going to want to hold these stretches for 30 to 60 seconds. I'm going to come onto my left hip facing the camera, so I'm going to flip myself around. Sideline position, line yourself up in a straight line on your mat or on your bed. You can either let your head rest on your palm or let it rest on your bicep. I'm going to let it rest on my palm. From here, I'm going to flex my bottom foot. I'm going to lift my top leg in line with my hip. And then I'm going to rotate my toes towards the ceiling, use my free hand for support like a kickstand, And then I'm going to lift and lower. So I'm going to do some leg lifts. Anywhere from 10 to 20 of these, depending upon how much time you have. And you want to stay as straight and long as possible. And then from there, I'm going to do some leg circles. So I'm going to bend my knee forward, straighten it out, and circle it around. Bending it to bring it forward. I'm reaching it back behind me, trying to stay as straight and stable as possible. There may be some rocking back and forth, but you want to try to minimize that. Work from a deep lower abdominal area. So I like to do about 5 to 8 in one direction, and then I'm going to switch. So I'm going to take my knee now back, reach the leg behind, bring it forward, and then bend it in the front, reaching it long behind. So we're just circling in the opposite direction. This is great for hip mobility, getting a good blood flow in the joints. And then from there, I'm going to take my legs together, bend both knees, keep the heels together here, and then I'm going to do clams, opening and closing the knee with the feet staying grounded together. So this is going to strengthen the posterior and side of the hip. Still working the right side. Do about 10 to 20 of these. You can also pick it up a bit by lifting up onto your forearm, lifting your hips, and doing your clams from a lifted position. This is a lot more core engagement here. So for the purpose of our morning stretch, we're going to take it a little easier and just work mobility. If you're looking to work strength, you can take that modification. Okay, from here, roll onto your back. Both knees bent, feet lined up with the hips. Take your arms off to the side, palms down to relax the shoulders. And then from the elbow to the wrist, bring your palms back down to the floor. Keep your shoulders engaged and down on the ground. Deep inhale. With your exhale, you're going to flatten the base of the spine and inhale, release. We're going to do some gentle pelvic tilts, working again from those lower abdominals. And then we're going to take this one step further and lift the hips on that exhale. You can hold here for anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. Please keep your head straight up. You may see me look at the camera, but you want to keep your head nose towards the ceiling here. When you lower, you can either lower all in one plane, or you can lower one vertebra at a time, articulating the spine, feeling each bone reach down to the floor one at a time. Again, inhale, exhale, tuck, lift the hips up off the floor, hold, and gently release. And we'll do this 10 times. Now I'm going to articulate on the way down this time. So I'm going to go real slow. I'm focusing on upper back, mid back, lumbar, sacrum, tailbone. Takes a lot more effort to articulate. It's really not recommended if you have any kind of spinal herniations in your discs. you want to just lift and lower in one plane without articulation. Articulating up will be the tuck, and then you continue to lift one vertebra at a time. Low, lumbar, mid, upper, hold. And I'm going to show you another progression here. I'm articulating back down, pulling that navel into the spine. Lift one leg. You can bring the leg up towards the ceiling, and we can do a single leg bridge. So this is going to work a lot more core strength. You can also begin to lift and lower the leg, keeping the hips level and even. And what we do on one side, we always want to do on the other, for the most part. Keeping those hips level and even if you're coming through those movements. Feels really good. Getting all the core activation here, firing up those abdominals. From here, we're going to take it over to the other side. So we started with our hamstring stretch. Generally, I would do both sides on the hamstring stretch first, but I worked just the right side there at the beginning. Now I'm going to come to the left. Taking that leg out to the left side. Remember, 30 to 60-second holds here. These are static holds to allow the muscle to relax and release. You're also keeping your right leg active. Your non-working leg is still working, right? You want to make sure that that hip does not roll off the floor. Now I'm going to take it into the piriformis. Draw the left knee across the midline and then take your left heel towards your right shoulder with your right hand. Hold that stretch, and that feels really good. From there, take it to your figure four. Really good for your lower back. And now I'm working that left hip, and I'm feeling this all the way through the back of that left glute, into the left hamstrings. Getting a good stretch, even to the outside of the hip here. Feels so good. So this is also considered a version of pigeon. If you are familiar with any yoga asana, this would be a modification for somebody who can't do a full pigeon. We give them this option. Great hip opener. All right, we're going to come up and come on to the right side now to work that left hip. So we're going to start with those leg raises. Line yourself up, legs straight. Lift that top leg, which is the left leg. Externally rotate it, and we're going to lift and lower. And you can point and flex. We might as well be working our ankle as well as our hip here. And you're always keeping your core engaged. So navel to spine. Point up, flex down, or flex up, point down. You can do a combination, do about 8 to 20 of these. And then I'm going to take the legs together again, and I'm going to do my leg scissors. So you can either keep your hand on your palm or drop your head down. This will be the basic position here. Use your top hand as your kickstand. Bend your knee, bring it forward. Reach the leg and circle it back. Pull it forward again. Try to get as deep as you can, bringing that leg behind you, without dropping your trunk forward, right? So you want to stay as straight as possible, getting a good stretch through that hip flexor, and then bring that knee forward again. About 5 to 8 times here, or you can go 10 circles if you have the time, because we're going to go in the other direction. So we're going to take that bent knee back, reach the leg out, and then bring it forward long. Bend and reach, straighten and pull. Trying to minimize how much our trunk is rocking forward and back. Once your abs get really strong, you'll really be able to stabilize a lot better with leg circles. And then we're going to take the legs back together, bending the knees, and just lift and lower the top knee for clams. Again, about 10 to 20. So we're working some strength, but primarily flexibility and mobility here. Trying to get a full range of motion through the joint. And here you want to make sure you're not rocking back as that leg lifts, right? So you're squeezing your glute to bring your leg up without moving through the pelvis. And we're going to come back onto our back. And this one we're going to do a bridge with a reach. So if this doesn't feel good for your neck or shoulder, don't do it. As with any of these exercises, if it's not good for you, skip it. So we're going to lift into our bridge again. Inhale, prepare. Exhale and lift the hips. And then we're going to take one arm and reach it up and overhead. Back to center. Other arm, reach it up and overhead. And take it back to center, lower down. We're going to come into what's called Happy Baby, another yoga pose. Really good hip opener. You can do this on one side at a time. Try to take the outside edge of your foot, draw your knee towards your armpit, stepping your foot up towards the ceiling. You can also straighten the other leg and get a deeper stretch. This is a good one for your hamstrings and also getting good compression into that hip. So when we release out of this pose, we're going to bring all fresh blood into that joint. Again, you're going to hold about 30 seconds on this. And then we'll switch over to the other side. Right, so this is half Happy Baby. Opposite leg extended, or you can keep it bent. If you have a hard time keeping your spine on the floor, ground down through the other foot. Now, if you have the flexibility in the hips, you may be able to come and do both legs at the same time. And this is called Happy Baby because babies will often be in this posture, amazed at their toes, getting a kind of a fun and adventurous feel being in this position. So brings us back to being that little infant again, full of wonder and appreciation for how flexible we can visualize ourselves being. From here, we're going to take the knees together, and I'm going to do a gentle rock. Now, again, if you have spinal or neck conditions, you are not going to want to do this. You can just roll to your side and come up to your seat. You can also cross the ankles and grab the outer edges of your feet. If you're rocking, you want to just keep your ankles together without crossing them, and you're rolling on your spine. You're not rolling on your neck. So you're coming to your shoulders and to your sit bones. Shoulders, sit bones. If you want to work a little core, you're going to take it to this position and hold. And you can come into another yoga pose called boat. So in boat, you want to try to maintain a neutral spine. You're not rounded. You're nice and straight. Your core is engaged. You can also keep your knees bent here. And then eventually drop those feet to the floor. Take the soles of the feet together and relax the knees off to the side. So this, again, if you've got really tight hips, your knees are going to be up here, and this might not be so comfortable. So try it just with one leg and extend the other one straight out. And this is also a great stretch. Sit up nice and tall. We're always looking for good posture. That's always where we want to move from as our base. Neutral spine means that your pelvis is on the same plane, tailbone and pubic bone. So we're not tilted in either direction. You're not rounded and tucked under. Your tailbone is behind you. You're right on top of those two mountain peaks called the sits bones. From here, if you want to fold forward, you can take a gentle turn towards the extended leg and then walk your hands down. No rounding here either, right? So you want to keep your chest open. Think long ribs. Don't collapse your rib cage. You want to keep that waistline long. You don't want to be feeling like you're bending from your waist. You want to hinge from your hip. And you can keep your hands down on the floor. And then, of course, what we do on one side, we're going to want to do on the other. So you don't want that leg too far out to the side. It could be slightly off to the side of the hip or straight out from the hip. You're going to walk your hands down, keep the chest lifted and open, keep the ribs from collapsing. So front and back of the ribs are still on the same plane, just like I explained with the tailbone and pubic bone. String attached from the crown of the head. Think of one long line from the soft palate in your mouth to the to the pelvic floor, right? So we have soft palates at either end of our spine. And we're going to keep one long line between those 2 points. Walk yourself up. And that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the stretching protocol. Get your body ready for your day. Enjoy. And I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for listening. This is Eileen with Nofi Fitness.